Hello everyone, welcome back to Primetime Crisis. It's time to talk about the first episode of Legends of Tomorrow this season. It's Out of Time. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Jayson.
And Jayson is going to help me talk about this one because he watched it with me and had some things he wanted to discuss. The first episode this season starts us with Oliver Queen.
Yeah. This episode, when I watched this episode, this felt like I was watching an episode of Hero.
Mm-hmm.
Because Oliver Queen was in there and Damien Dork was in there.
Yeah. What did you think of that, of bringing Dark in?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Did you like that?
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Well, this has, of course, always been a mix of characters from the other CW shows. And so it always has a little bit of a feel of sometimes it's like an episode of Arrow, sometimes it's like an episode of Flash. Obviously, very often it's a blend of those things. It'll be interesting to see if we ever get any Supergirl characters in this show from that dimension and then going throughout time. I gotta say right off the bat, one of the things I was least looking forward to was more Damien Dark. So tired of that guy. He's really generic. He's one note. There's nothing to him. And I have to say, I was kind of okay with it by the end of this episode, and I think there are some cool things that could be done with it. I also think this could be another situation like with Vandal Savage, where we just stretch things ad nauseum. Once you had the reveal at the end as to how he was getting his information from the future in order to alter things in the past and trying to create an A-bomb early and make World War II take longer and destroy New York City and kidnapping Einstein to make all that happen, or at least or Einstein's ex-wife, etc., etc., I became a lot more okay with it. The Reverse Flash reveal I thought was really cool.
Yeah. I'm sad we lost the leader.
Yeah, you lost Rip? Do you think he's gone forever? Because I don't.
Well, what I was thinking
Especially because he's, lost somewhere in time, probably.
What I was thinking was he is back in another episode?
Mm-hmm. I think so, too.
Yeah.
But it'll be a while, probably, because they've already replaced him. So the idea is we lose Rip at the end. He kind of has to sacrifice himself, which he's sort of done before. But he has to kind of sacrifice himself so that everybody else can make it, and he's disappeared into some other place in the timeline. One thing I really don't like about that is that he seems to have some sort of a premonition at the beginning, like he's not going to be around much longer, and unless that's explained later where somehow or rather he knows about something from the future, even though they're in the time stream when that's happening, that's always confusing. Relative time when you're outside of, or I said inside, when you're outside of the time stream, excuse me, it's hard to it's hard to really understand how that works, and I think the show is incredibly, and this has always been one of my big complaints about it, the show is incredibly vague about its rules with time travel, and it comes up with a lot of plot devices and excuses in order to make things happen. But anyway, there could be some sort of a throwaway explanation for it later, but right now it seems kind of silly and it kind of forced drama just to have him at the beginning like, I'm not going to be here forever, so I have to make sure that Jefferson is ready to not take over like the leader, but run the ship. He's the mechanic. I don't really like with Jefferson that we're kind of playing it like he's kind of a genius. I don't really buy that with him. I think some of it might just kind of be the acting, and I really have not cared for him. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah.
It's pretty cool we got the Reverse Flash and the Justice League of America.
Well, that's Justice Society.
I mean, Justice Society.
Which is a cool reveal if you didn't watch the end of last season, and may I say, kind of no reason to. Overall, I've not been real happy with the show. I think it is a cartoon that isn't enough aware of the fact that it's a cartoon, and it kind of dumbs all of its characters down, and it insults its audience a lot. So I think first season is wholly skippable, and if you want to give it another shot, I say give it a shot right now. I don't think this is great or anything, but it's the most fun I've had with the show, or at least as much fun as the best couple episodes of last season. I really enjoyed this. I have lots of little kind of nitpicky complaints and reservations and things, but Jayson, I thought this had a really fun sense of adventure. I thought it was a dense episode. I thought they got a lot done. There's a lot going on, and I just thought all the different locales and the different time periods and just kind of gallivanting all over the timeline, I thought it was really fun.
Yeah. I wish Lego Dimensions would do this episode.
Well, it is a little bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah. And,
just in pulling people from different places. But real quick, you mentioned the Justice Society. What I was going to say about that is if you were watching last season, you knew that was coming. It's a cool reveal. If you don't, I was a little surprised we didn't lead with it, and I haven't watched that in a while, so I'd have to go back and see if it lines up with how they're introduced at the end of last season, because I felt like there might have been... There was something that wasn't tracking with that, but I didn't go back and look, so I need to go back and look at it. But anyway, so I expected them to be there at the beginning. I really like how this episode opens.
Yeah.
I really like the mystery of our team has disappeared. The Wave Rider is in the ocean. Where is everyone? What's happened to them? I like bringing in Oliver Queen. I kind of get excited anytime we bring in major characters from other shows into this, because it is kind of the big, all-inclusive. It should be kind of the glue that holds this universe together. I don't think it is that. I don't think it manages that. But it is kind of fun whenever we find ways to integrate major characters into the show. And yeah, that's superficial, and crossovers with all this stuff are easy. They're all set in the same universe. No one's impressed by that, but it is fun when it happens. The couple times we had him last season, I thought were really fun, especially the future episode where he's got the beard and the missing arm. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember that.
But yeah.
Oliver Queen was at the beginning of the first episode, right?
Yeah. You mean in the first episode of the show?
Yeah.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're remembering that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, seeing him at the beginning of this, because I've been talking over on Arrow about how I think this ought to be the last season of Arrow, and that it would be really easy to place Oliver Queen someplace else and maybe even use him to a greater effect than he is in his own show right now. I'd love to see Oliver Queen as the leader of this team. I think take him out of his own show. I mean, and his show, and let him be the leader of this team. I think that'd be really cool. Having said that, I should mention that the ratings dropped real hard, or at least dropped real hard from the pilot. So we had a whole 50% drop between the pilot and the first episode this season. And it's doing just under Arrow's numbers, I think it dropped a little bit from the end of last season. So I don't know if the show will end up even getting renewed, and it's possible that we'll start to see a lot of circulation, like moving shows around where we start new shows. And my prediction is at least one show gets canceled this year, and at least one new show gets added next year.
Yeah. I didn't see Hawkman or Hawkgirl.
They were written out last season, and I don't know if we'll see them again. But they're gone, and she's supposed to get replaced by either the daughter or the granddaughter of Vixen. So we're supposed to get another Vixen, and I don't know if you remember her from Flash. But there's she's got kind of a mystical thing. She came in to help fight Damien Dark last season. But you might have missed that episode because I don't think you saw all of them. But anyway, so we're supposed to get another Vixen. One thing I wanted to say about this is I like this smaller team, and I wish we could keep it with what we had already. I'm not really jazzed. I think the actor does fine, but I'm not real jazzed about immediately replacing Rip Hunter with this historian guy. His name. And this was not a character I was familiar with, but once I looked him up, I recognized him from covers. He's Dr. Haywood, and he is in the comics Commander Steel. Now, I don't know if they'll make him Commander Steel in this, but I don't know what their plans are exactly for this character, but that's who that is. And he was a member of the Justice League in the mid-'80s, and he was written out in that book during kind of coincidentally, or maybe not, maybe this is part of why they picked him, I don't know, the Legends crossover in 1987. There was a really creepy 6-issue miniseries called Legends. I've got it, and he's in that. But anyway, so he's kind of taking Rip's place. I don't know if he's going to be the leader of this team. It really feels like they're kind of setting him up to be that by the end. It feels like he has too good of an understanding of how things are working already, having just been introduced to time travel and to the time ship and everything. If we're taking Rip out, we've been playing Sarah, and even at the beginning of this, we're playing her this way. We've been playing Sarah as his first officer. Can't she be the captain of the ship? She should be driving the ship, right? The couple of times she's taken the captain's chair, it's been a real good fit. I keep saying this. I want this to be the Captain Sara Lance show. While we're on Sarah, I really wish that we could get her back to a similar place as she was during Arrow Season 2. I realize she came back from the dead, and she's still a little... And she just lost her laurels, so she's still a little bit angsty and hardened from all of that. But I feel like by this point she could have regained a little bit more of her pizzazz, of her spunkiness. I miss my Sara Lance. It's fun to still get to see Katie Lotz, but I feel like she, like everybody else in the show, well, most everybody else in the show, has been kind of, I don't want to say that she's been like dumbed down exactly, but there's not as much to her as there used to be, and I kind of miss. It's weird. I feel like I miss her, but I get her every week. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And I also am not real in love with this thing where everywhere she goes, and we're playing this for comedy, this is kind of her shtick right now, that everywhere she goes, she's got to seduce every woman she can find. I don't love that. But anyway, I mean, you know, I don't have a problem with... Well, I was going to say I don't have a problem with her having, like relationships and flings in different time periods. It's just weird because she's so promiscuous, and because we're still incompetent and not trying hard at all about not messing up the timeline. And it really feels like... It's like, well, we know we're in a TV show where things can't really get messed up in the future, so we can do whatever we want to. It still has that vibe, and that's irritating. I also thought that the conflict, Jason, I also thought that the conflict between her and Palmer was really oversimplified and maybe could have been more interesting, and we really dropped that to its brass tacks, where she is morally ambiguous. He is totally altruistic. She doesn't like that he is a Boy Scout. He doesn't like that she's an assassin. And then at the end, they kind of obligatorily make up, and because it's time for the episode to be over, and we haven't really had an interesting discussion or an arc for them with that. But that's maybe asking too much from the show. And like I said with Arrow, my standards are absolutely in the floor. So for what this show has been, this is one of the better episodes. And again, mostly because of just fun gallivanting around the time stream stuff. Jason, I think this would be a way better show, and this would fit the tone of this show more if instead of trying to do a ongoing story about one main antagonist that's pulling all the strings, and we're doing that again, except now it's a team up with Reverse Flash and Damien Dark. Wouldn't it be cooler if we got the show that we were looking at the beginning while while Rory was telling his story about what happened and how the ship got stuck under the water. Like, why couldn't we have a whole season that's just the missions they went on? You know, where they're trying to stop the timeline from getting messed up in all these different places. Like, let's just have that show. How about just every episode's a different story? Because it's a cartoon show. It should just embrace that and steer into that.
I like Roy as a dinosaur.
Roy fighting a dinosaur?
Yeah, Roy fighting a dinosaur.
Yeah, I mean, we had so much fun with that stuff. No, you're right. Now, did you notice that every time he gets small, nobody can see him, but he's not small enough where nobody can see him? Like, he doesn't get down to, he doesn't get down to a super tiny size. He's like action figure size, and he's flying around and nobody notices him.
Yeah, that's weird.
I just think that's kind of funny. He doesn't go subatomic.
Yeah, but I like when he is following Sara Lance.
Yeah.
I mean, like that, and that makes her like not liking him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to know why he's doing all this crazy stuff. And like,
well, she is hiding the fact that she knows that she's been tracking where Damien Dark is in history, and that she knows about 1942. You know, I imagine, now that I'm thinking about it, that Rip knowing something's going to happen to him has something to do with the warning that they got that they're not supposed to go to 1942. So he probably somehow or rather knows what happens with all of that. So I should not make the assumption that that won't be explained. It very well might. But anyway, so the whole idea, Jason, is Laurel got killed, and she wants to go back in time and kill Damien Dark in the past so that he can't kill Laurel in the future. And of course, as Palmer says, that's against the rules, and they're not supposed to monkey with the timeline. And if they were going to go back and try to save people, they would save his wife, and they would save Captain Cold, and, you know, other people that they care about that have died. I'm really afraid this is going to be like the Arrow killing people question, where we're just going to keep playing out the same dramatic scenarios over and over and over again. Nobody's ever going to really learn from anything. We're going to keep getting them to a place and then backtracking them, or just keeping them stagnant, because this is a conversation we've had already. Sarah knows this is a bad idea, and the whole point is to preserve the timeline as things happen, regardless of what the consequences to that are. That it's always worse, and that it's not fair to people in making their own decisions and having free will to cherry pick what you change and what you don't. We've already been through all of this, and now we're doing it again. Now, that's not to say that running off half-cocked and trying to save Laurel in the past by doing this is totally outside of Sarah's character, but the problem is she's got her faculties all together. This isn't like she's all adrenalined up and she's super passionate and ultra emotional and letting that run her. She's just regular Sara Lance. Like this is just a matter of course. Don't I deserve to be able to do this? You know, a question I had, Jason, is why didn't they try to stop Flashpoint?
Yeah. Well, I didn't like the question, what rules?
What rules?
Yeah.
Well, that's because since there are no Time Masters now, they're like, we're just this rogue band of time travelers trying to solve problems in the timeline, so, like, we run ourselves, we don't have rules, but you're right, I mean, Hunter would be placing all the rules from the Time Masters that make sense on them, except this is at least consistent. He has a history of letting them run off and do whatever they want to, despite all of the things they might screw up in the timeline, and we're still doing this, and it's absolutely obnoxious. But you remember the first episode of Flash this season? Mm-hmm. Where Barry messes up the timeline, and he creates their version of the Flashpoint universe, and now we're basically in Flash anyway, with little ripple effects into Arrow, just one so far, with John Diggle's son now instead of his daughter, that he's basically created like their version of the New 52, sort of, except we haven't changed very much. But the idea is whenever people try to change things in the past, they try to stop that from happening. I want to know why there were no consequences to Flashpoint. How do they not find out about Flashpoint with the ripple effects unless it's too recent? Unless this is happening simultaneously? Because we have again this really ambiguous rule that time takes time to change, and as I always say, I don't understand what that means. Like, time takes time relative to what? But if that's the thing, then maybe the idea is that they don't know about Flashpoint yet, and they haven't seen those changes. I really hope they have an episode where they try to deal with it, because I think that would be cool, and I really wish that Flashpoint had reverberated more throughout these shows. And it was a thing that we were dealing with across the line, and especially because we have a time travel show, we should be dealing with that. And I don't like that we're not. But maybe we will in a couple episodes. I guess we'll see what happens. What else did you want to talk about? I'll throw out a few notes here.
Ray Palmer is kind of like Ant-Man.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
He grows later, but he never goes like really big.
He did last season.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that? We got to see that, and it was pretty cool. You remember he got big to fight like a big mech robot or something?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And all that CG with the ships and stuff, or with the ship and stuff, I thought was pretty decent.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I mentioned Damien Dark and that I was surprised to enjoy that as much as I did. Don't get me wrong, there's still nothing at all to this guy, but this is Damien Dark pre-magic, so of course he's not so powerful, but he's got the League of Shadows assassins, Ra's al Ghul thing, where he's just really well trained and he keeps coming back from the Lazarus Pit. I thought him in 1940s period gangster costume was really cool looking, and I think overall the time periods look maybe a little better than they did last season. Or maybe I've just adjusted, because I complained a lot last season that we don't ever feel like we're really in the time periods we're pretending to go to. I felt like we either have done better with that this episode because we're trying to make a good first impression on people returning who maybe were complaining about last season, because I don't think the show was real well received, or new people that might be coming in for the first time. But again, it might just be because my expectations, are in the floor, and that I have kind of adjusted to that.
Yeah. My favorite line was...
But real quick, what I was going to say is Damien Dark fighting Sarah, that was a really good fight.
Yeah.
I thought that looked great.
Mm-hmm.
Superficial praise, that's what I've got for this show most of the time.
My favorite line was, "Oh, here's the library."
I thought the thing with the Einsteins was silly, and those are the kind of places we often kind of go with the show. I thought his accent was pretty bad. I thought the idea that it's actually Einstein's ex-wife that they get the formula from to make the atomic bomb wasn't a bad idea, but we do, as I keep saying, we do not understand butterfly effect and rippling in the show. So when we get to the end and Stein says, we now that we've, and I kind of like the idea that in order to save history, they have to alter it slightly. I just wish there were more consequences for that we could deal with. And I wish we saw the effects of that in the other shows. I think that would be really cool. Where, when he says, we're going to start saying, oh, you're such an you're like one of the Einsteins instead of you're like Einstein. I'd like to see that maybe somewhere subtly in one of the other shows, where now it's not Albert Einstein that goes down in history, it's both of them. And the problem is, you have no idea what kind of effects that would have on the future. That could, irrevocably alter things where a lot of things are very different, and we're just too simplified with that kind of stuff. It would be incredibly complex to keep track of all of it, and to be really smart about, trying to create the ripples and make them believable and stuff. But that's why it would make more sense more often to change so little, to have these characters just be a little bit more competent and change so little that you wouldn't have these problems in the future. But is it more interesting to have some things be changed? Yes, absolutely it is. It's just that then we pretend like nothing, like it was little enough that it wouldn't have changed too much, and it absolutely would. I thought the most cringeworthy line in this episode was when Stein says, my name is Stein, like Einstein. Didn't need that. I don't know why Stein has been reduced to such a moron in this show. And again, at least we're consistent. I still think Stein is an absolute idiot, and I still like Ray Palmer 6 times more than I did in Arrow. So, at least we're consistent. Like I said, my big takeaway right now is I want the show to just keep being an outrageous romp. That's what it needs to be. And I want the cast to stay small. I don't need Vixen. I don't need another character added. I don't need this new guy. Unless you were to bring in a big gun like Oliver Queen or something, like if one of the other shows ended and you brought one or a couple of those characters over, people that are already established that we already like, that I would maybe be okay with. But we've now got it down to a manageable team. Let's not keep over, complicating it when these aren't real complex people anyway. Like, maybe if we had fewer people, fewer characters to deal with, we'd actually do more interesting things with them, and maybe it's asking too much, but actually, develop them a little bit. That'd be good. Yeah.
Well, what does big gun mean? Big gun? Yeah.
I'm using that in this context to refer to someone who's important and popular. Someone that's already like really established that we like a lot. So the big guns would be, of course, Oliver Queen and Barry Allen and characters like that.
Okay.
I liked, like I said, the framing device. I thought the nonlinear. It's not really nonlinear. It's telling a story and going back to it. I thought that whole framing device was quite good. I thought it was fine, and I enjoyed Oliver being brought into this. What I didn't like, Jason, is how nonchalant Oliver is about the situation. And maybe that's not the right way to put it. It's just that he is so unconcerned and can't be bothered because he's too busy with his own stuff at home. I would sort of understand that if it was just, I'm out of my league, I haven't dealt with time travel before, I'm not the right person to deal with this stuff. But the problem is it's Sarah.
Yeah.
And she's stuck in time somewhere, and he doesn't know if anyone will ever figure out how to use this time ship or if it even still flies. If we do this thing where characters seem to know what show they're in. So Oliver doesn't immediately drop everything and try to go save Sarah because it's not his show. If this was happening in an episode of Arrow, he would tell Thea, hey, do all my mayoral duties for me while I fly off into history and go try to save Sarah. That doesn't happen simply because he's in Legends of Tomorrow. Anything else you want to bring up?
I think there's going to be something. I think Oliver's in Arrow, in an episode, Oliver's going to be like, hey, I was on the ship.
Oh, you think so? You think he'll mention it? Mm-hmm. You think he'll tell anybody about it? That'd be kind of a cool bit of continuity.
Yeah.
If that happened. The thing is, and it's weird because this is a time travel show and we're in like 6 or 8 or 10 different time periods this episode. That's not that many, but we're in several different time periods this episode. That's one of the things I really enjoy about it. Although sometimes we go to the really obvious cliche places, like World War II is kind of obvious. I actually enjoyed that this time because of the idea of like New York gets destroyed, but the Allies still win, and they did some things there, and in it being the other Einstein that helps create the bomb. I mean, we're using really elementary school textbook information about Einstein, certainly, but I thought we did some creative things with that, and I appreciated that. Salem was kind of too obvious of a period that okay, Sarah goes to the Salem witch trials. I did think it was kind of fun though, and almost gets burned at the stake as a witch after she's after she slept with all the girls in Salem. But I do like the thing in France. I mean, it's ridiculous and hilarious, but I like that Stein and Jefferson are used as wizards with their cell phones, and that everyone thinks that what they do with their cell phones is magic. I thought that was kind of fun. I don't know how they're charging them. I don't know how long they've been there, but they must have really, really good really good phone batteries. Anyway, like I said, more fun than I've had with the show, or as much fun as I've ever had with the show, and I think it certainly has quite a bit of potential moving forward if they wanted to get a little smarter with it, or if they wanted to just, like I said, steer into the skid, like I think they're starting to do a little bit, and just be a ridiculous out there TV show. I can't take this seriously. It's less so than last season asking me to, which I really appreciate. So anyway, those are my 5.5 cents. Anything else you wanted to mention about it? Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
Whatever, thanks as always for watching. Sure appreciate it. And I'll see you again with another episode of Primetime Crisis soon. I think the next thing I'm doing is probably Supergirl next week. So look forward to that. And more videos coming your way here on Geekvolution. In the meantime, I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Jayson.
Thanks for watching.
Well, that was fun. Who's for Chinese?